All right, welcome to the session on text analysis. My name is Saif Mohammed. I'll be the session chair. We have 6 short talks today, so 12 minutes plus 3 minutes for questions. They cover a wide range of things from puns, political ideology, literary entities, abusive language, argumentation mining, to actions in novels. So I think we'll have a fun session. The first talk, before I announce the first talk, there's one speaker still left who hasn't signed up. So if you could at some point come and talk to me and introduce yourself, that'll be great, the speaker who hasn't done so yet. The first talk is MultiTask Ordinal Regression for jointly predicting the trustworthiness and the leading political ideology of news media. The talk will be given by Preslav Narkov.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, good. So there has been a lot of work on fact-checking things like claims, something that it's known who is saying it, fact-checking rumors, especially in social media. There has been also work on fact-checking articles, right, news articles. Now there's a little bit of a problem with this kind of fact-checking. There are 2 problems. First of all is, can we fact-check all the news in the world and all claims in the world, right? That's probably not feasible. The second thing is, how do we do the fact-checking? Well, we check what the mainstream media write about the fact, the claim, kind of, and also what is the reaction of users in social media. Both things take time to accumulate enough evidence. And studies have shown that 50% of the spread of fake news happens in the first 10 minutes, okay? So there's no time, right? So our solution is to go after the source, to see where this is published. Because even when there's kind of a claim, it's published, there's a link to some website, so it's published somewhere, and there are not that many websites like that, so we can go and you can like profile them in advance. And if we do that, we can be prepared. And I like to say that we can fact check, we can actually detect the fake news before they were even written, because the moment when they are put somewhere, we can be prepared and we can tell you some prior information what we think about this website. That's the idea here, okay? And we are actually developing a news aggregator called Tanbih, which in Arabic means warning, awareness. This is something that you can go and you can try. It's operational. It's something like Google News that has some fact-checking capabilities, kind of builds those kinds of media profiles. And I can, actually show you. Actually, let me show you right now so that you get some idea about what I'm talking about, right? So basically, okay, so you're reading the news, and as you're reading the news, there's this news. Okay, first of all, we are signaling when something is potential propaganda, and then I can say, okay, Mail on Wine. What is Mail on Wine? This is Daily Mail, right? I mean, and we have a profile. Is it centric? Is it hyper-partisan? The degree of propaganda? Can we trust them? The factuality of reporting? The leading political ideology on a 3-point scale? If you want on a 7-point scale? Then who is reading them? Liberals or conservatives? What is the stance of users that read them in social media on different kinds of topics, what they write, this is stance detection, and so on and so forth. So kind of we do a lot of things. I'm going to focus here in this talk on the factuality of reporting and the leading political ideology. Right. Okay, so of course, trust has to come from somewhere, right? And we are using data coming from Media Bias Fact Check. It's a fact-checking website that actually fact-checks entire websites, entire news outlets. And for example, for the Angry Patriot movement, it tells us it's extreme right, and it takes us, it's conspiracy, propaganda, fake news, and so on. So this is where we are taking the data from. And of course, it's not only about factuality. We might be also interested in the bias of different media. So what is bias? Here's an example. Here's an article about climate change, right? And you say, okay, UN says climate genocide is coming. It's actually worse than that, right? And this is obviously a left-biased website, right? And here's another article from the same day, October the 11th, doubling down on the global warming alarmism. You see quite different viewpoint. And this is coming from the National Review, which is a right website, according to the Media Bias Fact Check. And you see that they also have like the factuality of reporting marked. So they have about 2,700 media annotated and keeps growing. And it's the most reliable source that we have been using. So basically, what we have like about 1,000 websites like that. And we have their bias on a 7-point scale from extreme left to extreme right, and they have factuality, high, mixed, low, very high. So based on this website, we created a data set of 949 websites, and here you can see the distribution of factuality and of bias. And then we model both factuality and bias based on features that we extract from what they write, what information is there about them in Wikipedia, in social media, some traffic information from Alexa Rank, and the structure of the URL. So, for example, the article features, we're looking into the linguistic structure, the sentiment, bias, subjectivity, and so on and so forth, whether moral categories are being discussed, and so on and so forth. In Wikipedia, I mean, first of all, does it even have Wikipedia page, and kind of different kinds of text embeddings based on the information that is there in the info box and in the text summary and so on. So, for example, here you say, okay, it's conservative. He's also conservative, which kind of probably tells you it's right-leaning. What is there about them in social media? So, for example, here, does it even have a Twitter account? Is there location information? Is there a link to the medium? What is the text over here? So, for example, here you say Crusader, Republican, MAGA, America First. Kind of just by analyzing this text, you can see that this is kind of, right-leaning website. And then the structure of the URL. So, for example, if you have a URL like this, angrypatriotmovement.com or 100% fed up, right? This kind of tells you something. And this .com, .co is not a good sign. And you can also kind of have traffic information to see which of those two ABC News sites is the right one. And I mean, we have done in previous work some classification based on those, on those kinds of features. We had a paper at TMNLP, and we have been modeling those things separately. But there's this famous chart. This is the media bias chart. Actually, it's not updated since August 2018, but it's quite good. It shows you that there's a correlation between centrality, kind of between left and right bias and factuality. So kind of on the vertical, the higher you are, the more factual you are, and on the horizontal, the more centric you are. Kind of, on the left are left media, on the right are right media. And you see that there's some kind of correlation, right? That the center media are kind of more factual. And we have a similar picture in our data. So here, this is the distribution of the data in our collection of those 949 websites. So he's extreme left, left, center, center, right, and then extreme right. And on the vertical, we have like factual, mixed, and low. And you see that the center media kind of tend to be more factual, while the extreme right and extreme left, they're all of low factuality, right? And so on. So kind of there's some correlation between factuality and bias. So this kind of makes us thinking that it makes sense to try to model them jointly, because those are two tasks that can help each other. We can actually come up with other tasks that you can actually invent other auxiliary tasks. So for example, you can just ask, is this a center medium or not non-center medium, right? And here is the correlation. So see, the center media are mostly those are the center media, mostly factual. There are some mixed factuality, while non-center media are all over the place, right? This is another kind of auxiliary task that you can define. Hyperpartisanship are the extreme left, extreme right, jointly together versus anything else. And again, you see that the extreme media are all of low factuality, while the non-extreme are primarily factual, but they're all over the place, but primarily factual and somewhat mixed. So basically what we do is we have a multitask learning, and we also do this as an ordinal regression, because we have a 7-point scale for factuality. For factuality, we have a 3-point scale. For bias, we have a 7-point scale. And we introduce auxiliary tasks, this centrality, right? Because we have this correlation here. And we also have the hyperpartisanship, which is basically this as an auxiliary task. And then the left, center, right bias, we have it on a 7-point scale, but we have also kind of auxiliary task on a 5-point scale and on a 3-point scale. And what we have is we use a couple ordinal regression model, which comes from computer vision. And this is something that models the marginals and the joint interdependencies between the different tasks. And to go to the results, so when we don't have multitask learning, this is the mean absolute error, so lower is better. we have 0.5, and you see that adding bias on a 3-point scale and on a 5-point scale helps factuality. Also adding centrality and extremism, kind of extreme partisanship, helps you even further. So predicting bias, again, no multitask, we have 1.58. If you add to the bias prediction, if you add factuality and also add bias at a lower granularity, like 5 coarser granularity, 5-point scale and 3-point scale in addition to the 7-point scale that you are trying to predict, we get quite an improvement. But interestingly, centrality and extreme partisanship don't really help you on this task. But actually, this is something to be expected because those are things related more to factuality. And here are some examples. So for example, for the New York Times, the distribution that we predict, kind of center left, kind of something that happens and other people have noticed. So let's say for Breitbart, it's primarily right, but you see some confusion with left. This is something that kind of is typical, and other researchers have pointed out that if you are extreme, then it's not clear whether you are left or right. Again, we have this Tambi that you can go and check. So to sum up, we have this multitask ordinal regression, right, where we have jointly model factuality and bias on a 7-point scale, and also as auxiliary tasks, 5-point scale, 3-point scale, also centrality, hyperpartisanship. In future work, you want to try other languages and other kinds of biases, can be nationalist versus globalist, Europhile, Eurosceptic, or I don't know, conservative liberal, or Islamist secular, and so on and so forth. And yeah, you can come and try Tambi. Thank you.
We have time for questions. If you have questions, please take the mic, introduce yourself.
From Brown University. Thank you very much for the talk. I wonder, just curious, why are extreme media, as you said, it's hard to actually tell whether they're extreme left or extreme right? I mean, I know for Breitbart, like they're also very much in favor of economic nationalism, like treaty protectionism, so that may be classified as left, and I wonder if that's the case with others.
Sorry, is the question about why this confusion here?
So yeah, you said
okay.
that,
okay.
You said, quote, if you're extreme, it's not clear if you're left or right, and I wonder
exactly.
why that's the case.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, this is something that other people have found. So there is, at SEMEVAL, there is the extreme partisanship shared task, right? And they have a paper at ACL last year. There is a paper at ACL last year that was actually arguing that, you know, predicting whether you are extreme left, extreme right is kind of hard. I think that they are both using the same kind of inflammatory language, right? So that's why they even defined the SEMEVAL task to kind of to predict whether you are extreme left or right jointly together. I mean, and we have seen this kind of better. Actually, we have better results, and we have now improvement of the model since this paper, where we are kind of addressing some of it. But this is a pattern that I just wanted to show, and this is something that is kind of common, and other researchers have found as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Really quick question, please.
Okay, Edgar, in your NC State, how did you pick Wikipedia, and how do you use Wikipedia, and why do you think it's unbiased?
And maybe you can set up this.
Yes. So I mean, how do you? I mean, okay, we have a automatic way to find the Wikipedia article, and in Wikipedia we are modeling what is the information there in the info boxes, in the summary. I mean, Wikipedia, obviously you can argue it's biased, but actually you can even argue you can go further than that, right?
Well, if something's not controversial, then anybody basically can edit the Wikipedia article. But if it's controversial, then the Wikipedia editors basically control the edits.
Right.
And so it's whatever the Wikipedia editor thinks, and it's not at all clear that that would be unbiased.
Sure. I mean, this yes, okay, but okay, just like to finish. I mean, Wikipedia is not our ground truth. Our ground truth is media bias fact check website, right? So Wikipedia is just like something where we are taking features from. And we are also taking features from social media. They are even kind of more biased.
And we should discuss that more.
Okay.
Let's take it offline though. Let's thank the speaker once more. The next talk